Welcome back. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan. Today we are breaking down the Philadelphia Eagles 3 round mock draft and all the players that we selected for them. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever Ryan and I create new Eagles content. We have Eagles 3 round, 7 round, and also individual mock drafts coming out all the way up leading to the 2024 NFL draft. So be sure to ring that bell. Also, too, we are doing a mock draft for all 32 teams, and we're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the Super Bowl. So if this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe and help us reach our goal. It's greatly appreciative. And so, Ryan, let's move on now to the Eagle slide here. So describe a little bit of what you're looking at. The name in bold and in green is the Eagles pick. Then we have the couple teams before and after them and who they selected. Also, then two to the right, you'll see some other players that we feel the Eagles could take here, but who actually ended up selecting them in our mock draft as well, and where and which pick that was at. So we ended up going with Enos Rakestraw, the cornerback out of Missouri. I'm really starting to like him as well. When you go look at his stats, he did only play 9 games this past year, but he did only allow 197 receiving yards against him, which is extremely impressive, especially coming from the SEC. I think he's going to slowly work his way up here. I don't think he's going to crack that top 4 of corners, I would say, with Nate Wiggins, Kool-Aid, Terrion Arnold, and then Cooper DeJean. I don't think he's going to pass them. Maybe he could work his way up there. It just depends on how teams, I would say, really like him and fit into this system. And so I would say with a team like the Eagles, who just need any and all secondary help, I think that they would love to take a big, athletic SEC corner and just throw him in there. And he could probably be starting day one, I would say, next year in the Eagles secondary.
For sure. I mean, I think you look, he played at a really high level in college. He's a great athlete and plays well against the run also. I really like his tape as well. I do agree. I don't know if he cracks the top 4, but I don't think that there's really a drop off from either of those guys to him. And I think there could be a team that does fall in love with him. And I do think here at 22, it could be Philadelphia. He's a great prospect. To me, one of the best players available, top need for the Philadelphia Eagles because this secondary was atrocious in 2023. I really like what this pick does for them.
He's the kind of guy, like the 4 names I mentioned that were picked prior to him, I think are Sherlock first round talents. He's the one that I'm starting to work into and be like, okay, I think this guy's a first round talent. Some of the other guys, even like maybe Cameron Kitchens, maybe, but even then too, I'm not saying that as much with Rakestraw. I was like, Rakestraw, I can see this team taking him. I can see this team taking him. If he gets down to Buffalo, I bet they take Rakestraw over Cameron Kitchens, over Kamari Lassiter, over some of the other guys here. Like we had some corners. Quinton Mitchell was taken 25th overall. It's by the Green Bay Packers. So I think that they would take Enos Rakestraw over Quinton Mitchell in that situation. So that's where I just think he slowly started to work his way up to that 5th quarterback for me. So let's move on, though, now to the 2nd pick for the Eagles here. So they had a couple picks back to back. So end up going with Edrin Cooper here at linebacker. So they address the secondary. I think they're going to address then the next level in the defense, which is going to be the linebacker section. I think that they need to improve in that area to help out with the defensive front. Defensive line, even if Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham don't return, I'm really satisfied with where this Eagles defensive line is at, with Jalen Carter filling in for Fletcher Cox, and you still got Jordan Davis right there also. So, but Edrin Cooper, I think, is going to help come in and bring in just an overall nice athleticness and tough capabilities from in the linebacker position as well. Then just a couple picks later here, then I think just a pure luxury pick. You take Xavier Leggett. Really starting to fall in love with Xavier Leggett. 6'3", 227, 4.3 speed. I don't see who's not going to fall in love with that. So I think you pair him up then with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith also. So I think
A.J. Brown's there after how the season ended.
Potentially. I'm going to assume that he's still going to be there, and all the other stuff that we're hearing that's going on is all tabloid stuff. So I'm not saying that's not true. But it's I think that let's say whether he is there or not, I think the Eagles would gladly take Xavier Leggett.
Yeah. To start, I'll touch on Edrin Cooper. I think you look at one of the big drop-offs of this defense, and TJ Edwards moved on to Chicago in between the 2022 and 2023 seasons, and I think that was a bigger loss than I think a lot of people stated. Edgerrin Cooper could come in. Not saying he's going to be TJ Edwards right away, but to me, has physical traits that could be similar in role. And then also Xavier Leggett, just a fantastic specimen and wide receiver, like super freak athlete. And I mean, good hands, played at a very high level at South Carolina, had a good game against Georgia as well, where a lot of top defensive prospects are come out of, as Eagles fans know. And so to me, I think that's just a great pick. So let's move on here to this final pick in the top 100 for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's going to be Blake Fisher, with Lane Johnson most likely retiring, as well as Jason Kelce most likely retiring. I think addressing this offensive line in the top 100 is going to be imperative for the Philadelphia Eagles. Blake Fisher kind of was second fiddle to Joe Alt, but was still a really solid right tackle for Notre Dame. And I think some team is going to kind of luck into getting Blake Fisher, and here we have Philadelphia doing it. To me, the comparison is going to be Wanya Morris last year. Everybody loved Anton Harrison, obviously not as much as Joe Alt, but Wanya Morris was kind of the co-star on that offensive line, and since Kansas City got a great right tackle in Wanya Morris. And to me, I think that's Blake Fisher this year. And I love him as a prospect. He has good feet, good length, just good overall size. And I think could come in and at the very least be a backup swing tackle for this offense.
Well, and that's what, to your point as well, that if Lane Johnson does come back, Jason Kelce does come back, it's still just good offensive depth, and you just get an athletic guy that you can go and develop here. So I do think this is a good spot for offensive line to end out this third round. I think a couple other guys, Cedric Van Pran, he was definitely about 14 picks before this, but if he does fall here and Jason Kelce does move on, I think that could be an interesting one to potentially go and just add as depth pieces. I know they do have Cam Jurgens as well, who can kick in also, but still, just if you like certain guys, if Cam Jurgens is a great guy, just keep him at right guard and bring in Cedric Van Pran. It just causes that debate overall. So in general, though, let's review the Eagles picks here. So going off with Enos Rakestraw, cornerback, and then going to Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker. First two picks focus on the defense. I think that is rightfully the what they need to do here. And then the next two picks are offensive, and so adding another weapon here for kind of a luxury pick overall. I think Xavier Leggett, really starting to like this guy. I have a feeling he's probably not going to make it to 53 when it's officially draft day. And then Blake Fisher, as you mentioned, right tackle from Notre Dame, super athletic. And so I think a guy that at minimum they can develop and potentially become the next Lane Johnson, so to say. So in general, though, I like the Eagles mock draft. There's a lot of things I think they need to figure out, as Ryan alluded to internally. I think while also figuring out like what 2024 is going to, what they're going to be able to try and make out of 2024. So with that, though, I think this draft class I think is a good rookie class. So to kind of help revitalize that, like their Super Bowl hopes. And so any final thoughts on the Eagles mock draft?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good draft. I think they definitely addressed some major pain points from this last offseason, built good depth, and I think hopefully get themselves back on track to be a Super Bowl contender, because I think all in all, they have the pieces to it. I think they just had some internal struggles there at the end of the year, maybe lost their confidence. I think they just need to get back kind of that swagger that they had in 2022. So let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Philadelphia Eagles 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let us know what you do different. And on that, we would see you guys next time.